of, in effect, paying the Russians to give us Soviet weapons-grade plutonium to transform into into material non-usable for bombs, so that it doesn't get smuggled onto a black market, so the Iranians or Bin Laden or some other lunatics get a hold of it. And how can we even think of abandoning such programs? I mean, if these people, 5 years from now, similar people had access to a nuclear weapon, do you know what this would be like?
One other thing. I'm old enough to remember this, so you must be old enough to remember this too. We're about the same age. I think you're a little younger, in fact. A headline in the paper at a very different time, but the city was in a very difficult situation. Ford to New York dropped dead, I think was the headline.
I remember the headline.
The city was on the verge of bankruptcy. And the reason I remember it now is that the government, the federal government, has not always been very kind to the city of New York. Do you think the city's going to get what it needs? All that it needs?
I think the city is going to get all that the federal government can do to help it.
Okay.
I do think that. I think President Bush was very good. I participated in negotiations over the last few days toward changing what was an original proposal by the president for $20 billion, most of which would have gone to the military, some to help rebuild here. And it changed into a $40 billion bill, doubled, with $20 billion earmarked really for reconstruction and for help and for victims. And there was a resistance to that in some quarters in Congress. The president, when asked for $20 billion for New York, immediately said yes. Senators Graham and Nichols tried to turn that around and stop that Thursday night. And I was asked on a radio show today why I thought that some senators wanted to deny New York the help. And all I could say was that Senator Graham did his country the best service he could render it by announcing his retirement.
Congressman, it's nice to talk to you. You leave with a zinger.
Well, thank you. But why indeed would people want to say to a stricken part of the United States that we don't want to give you this help? I don't understand that. But thank God the President of the United States and the vast bulk of people in Congress did not feel that way.
Thanks. It's good to talk to you.
Likewise.
I hope we'll talk again and we'll talk about where this money's coming from and the implications of it all. Thank you. Sit tight for just a moment if you don't mind. Let's go down to Gary Tuchman. Gary, if you've been with us over the last week, many of you have, you know, has been very close to Ground Zero through much of the time. He's still down there tonight. Gary, the activity there this evening.
Well, Aaron, even 4.5 days later, the horror of the scene is still overwhelming. Small fires continue to burn, smelly, acrid smoke continues to billow in the air, and more than 4,900 people are still missing. If you had to put an adjective to the scene up close, a word that would come to mind is hell-like. News media cameras haven't been allowed close to the scene. To Ground Zero for the most part. The police are keeping us away. So we've relied on video from civilians, video from emergency workers, and also video from the U.S. Coast Guard. And one thing you see close up today and tonight are great masses of twisted steel still dominating the landscape. With fires burning in different places, they remove some steel, it provides oxygen, and a fire starts in a new location. It looks like a terrible scene on a fictional planet. There is so much debris there. 22,000 tons have now been removed, according to the mayor of New York. That's 44 million pounds. But it's estimated that there are 600,000 tons there total. So that comes out to a total of 3% that's been removed, and that may even be a generous number. The most important goal right now, this story certainly has lots of ramifications and lots of tentacles, but the most important story right now is trying to recover survivors. The bad news, over the last 3 days, not one survivor has been found, but authorities are saying, and they're not just saying this to make people feel good, they still feel there is potential for people to be alive under the rubble. The World Trade Center had underground space of about 60 or 70 feet below the level of the ground, and they're saying it's possible, but they haven't been able to get to it yet. The fact is 4,972, that is the number of people who are still missing. 159 people are confirmed dead, so this death toll can eventually go to 5,100. You're looking at video of people who are very grateful for the emergency workers who have been on this scene. Right outside the perimeter where we're standing right now, where the public is not allowed, people have gathered to thank emergency workers, to hold signs, to clap for them. It isn't like an organized thing. It's not like people said, come on out at 6 p.m. and thank the people. People have just shown up, and we've seen hundreds of people at these checkpoints thanking the emergency workers. We've also seen people putting up murals throughout the city, thanking workers, putting up murals of American flags. And I've seen more flags in New York City today than perhaps I've seen since the nation's bicentennial in 1976. One other thing I want to tell you about 15 minutes ago, a fireman came up to me. He was back there at the scene. And he found in the rubble, among many other things, a small paperweight. And on the paperweight was the character from the funny pages, Ziggy. And on top of Ziggy, the paperweight said, quote, "Don't worry about tomorrow, just try to get through today." The fireman was struck by that tragic irony, as are we. Aaron, back to you.
I think a lot of people think that way. Gary, a couple of quick things perhaps. Is there the missing number, this dreadful 47 plus number? It hasn't changed a lot over a couple of days, leads me to believe at least we're close to a final number of missing. Is that what you're hearing?
There was some fear initially, Aaron, that we could have a death toll close to 10,000 here. That will not be happening. It is felt that it will be fairly close to a 5,000 number, to be frank about it.
It's almost obscene to think that makes you feel better somehow. I remember hearing, I think Tuesday night or Wednesday, that the number might go to 20,000, but it now does look like it's going to be in around 5,000, somewhere like that.
You know, it's incredible, Aaron, covering Oklahoma City, 168 people died, a huge number of people. And now here we're talking about a tragedy where you are talking about more than 5,000 people dead. These are incomprehensible numbers. It's just hard to figure.
It is absolutely impossible to get your arms around. Thank you, Gary, for your work tonight. There was, it seems to us at least, a rather significant shift today over at the Armory. The Armory, as I think many of you may know, has been the place where families of the missing have gathered, seeking information about their loved ones. They've been coming there for several days now. Today, what went on there was one of those painful signs that it's been a while and the clock is ticking and hope is running out. Our Michael Oku is there and joins us now with more on that. Michael?
Aaron, I have to tell you, just walking through the city today, there is a tired, weary feeling throughout this entire city. And many people here have felt that they have already shed so many tears. I think over the next coming days, you will undoubtedly start hearing the words and phrases that are so often used at times like this that they have a ring of cliche to them. Return to normalcy, resolution, moving on. And yet there are so many people, possibly tens of thousands of people, connected to close to 5,000 lives that may have been lost that night, whose lives will never be normal again, who may never find resolution. What's happening here is that many of these people, the friends and family of those people who are missing from the World Trade Center attack, come to the Armory here on Lexington Avenue and 26th Street. And as of yesterday, about 3,100 people had walked through those doors, filed through those doors, filled out essentially a seven-page papers that essentially asked for any kind of identifiable information of those people who were missing. Everything from their name, of course, to their hair type, to their blood type, to anything recognizable, to what kind of nail polish they wear. And today, the New York City Health Department announced that a company called LabCorp, they are a Vermont-based company, a very large medical company with over 900 centers around the country, is going to be offering free DNA collections. That is, friends and relatives, specifically relatives, can provide identifiable materials that can be traced through their DNA to this company, and later authorities will ascertain through all kinds of testing the information that may ultimately connect these relatives and identify those people who are missing. They're asking them from everything from hairbrushes to toothbrushes to anything, any item that might have been used exclusively by that person who is missing. In fact, right now I am joined by Angela Ciccone, who is missing her godmother. Angela's godmother worked in the World Trade Center, I believe, what was it, Tower number
1.
Tower number 1 up on the 94th floor.
Fort Marsh McLennan, but it was a division of American Express. And so we're just looking for any information. If they saw her, if she was leaving the building, if she was even in the office at 8 o'clock in the morning. She's a very helpful person. We're sure she would have followed orders and helped someone, and we just need anything.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to give you that number very quickly. It's a number for LabCorp in Vermont. If you have any information that might be able to help them, if you have any information you want to get to LabCorp and give them DNA, get a DNA collection, they're at 888-933-3627. Back to you, Aaron.
No, not quite yet. Do the number again. I'm writing it down, and you said it faster than I can write it down.
Sure, let's do that again. 888-933-3627.
Thank you, Michael. Surprised me to have to write down a phone number. Thank you very much. It is just, you have to have something to match, do a DNA match, and that is why those rescue teams are being so meticulous there. They're looking for anything, it's a bit gruesome, but any identifiable body part remain that they could use in a DNA match, and that's why they're down there literally sometimes on their hands and knees. I'll show you something that's going on. I think it's going on right now. In fact, not too terribly far from here in Little Italy. This would have been the weekend of the Festival of San Gennaro, and it obviously is not a day for a festival in this city. It is a night for a vigil, and it is going on this evening in Little Italy. This is sometimes one of the more raucous late summer festivals in town. But like everything else, it's changed. Look at that face. Little Italy tonight. New York literally began to bury its dead today, and among them, 2 fire officials and 1 chaplain with the fire department. Reverend Michael Judge died early on Tuesday while administering last rites to another firefighter. He was carried from the tower scene by other firemen and died shortly thereafter. Richard Blystone covered his funeral today.
Surgery is going to keep news photographer David Handschuh away from some friends' funerals, but this one he wasn't going to miss. Because in the line of duty, he saw a lot of Father Mike Judge, the firefighter's chaplain, who was killed Tuesday while giving last rites to a fireman.
He would hold your hand and you would just feel good. He emanated some form of just positive goodwill that nobody else I've ever met could. By just touching you, by putting his hand on you and giving you a hug, you just floated away happy.
Many of those in the overflow crowd had narrow escapes that day. David Handschuh had 2.
You hear the sound and then the building starts falling down in slow motion. And I'm a photographer. The initial reaction was to raise the camera and take a picture, but something up here said, just run. And in the 20 plus years I've been doing this, I've never once run from anything. But it probably saved my life. The wall of debris that came flying down just picked me up and threw me a block.
One leg shattered, the other torn up. Firemen pulled him to a delicatessen. Another photographer captured that moment, but it wasn't over.
When the second building collapsed, the facade of that building was blown in. We were trapped once again. Using their hands and tools and sheer strength and will, they pushed their way out.
For news photographers, cameramen, reporters, days like that are part of an unwritten contract with life. So too with soldiers, policemen, firemen, which doesn't make it much easier. But the thousands still missing downtown, they didn't sign up for this.
I'm so sorry that so many people lost their lives over this. It's not comprehensible. It's not right.
At the end, the photographer pulled out his camera. It may not make much of a picture, but this one's personal. Richard Blystone, CNN, New York.
Well, we like a good picture, that's the truth. And even though our business is moving pictures, we like a good still picture. So one of the things we did today is with the help of Associated Press, we put together some pictures, not just any pictures. They call themselves New York's bravest, the fire department does.